Howdy folks. Welcome to Trail. Today in this channel, we'll be sharing some real and raw stories about relationships and more. Stick around to hear how they made it through. Or if they did. Without further ado, let's get into some tales together. The first story is titled, Can This Marriage Be Saved? A 15-month-long journey by username LittlePassion4242. I am at a crossroads with regard to my marriage. There was infidelity on his part several years ago, shortly after the birth of our child. He claims there was nothing physical, just an emotional affair. I was devastated. With the work of a therapist and a focus on activities I enjoy, running, volunteering, reconnecting with friends, I was able to build my self-confidence back up. Although our relationship has never recovered to the way things were before the affair, things have been peaceful in our house. But recently, I've realized that I want more from my marriage. Our child is older and not as dependent on me. I'm stable in my career. We are debt-free. I feel healthier and more in control of my life than I ever have. My libido has come back stronger than ever. I have a zest for life that I haven't had since before the affair. But my husband seems content with the way things are. He doesn't put any effort into spending time with me. There is no intimacy on his part. He does not initiate physical intimacy. To be honest, he does not seem very interested in me. I have talked to him about my needs and how I'm feeling. He claims he has low testosterone but won't do anything about it. He doesn't want to go to any sort of counseling. He stated that he doesn't feel the urgency to fix anything in our marriage. At this point in our marriage, we should be enjoying our new freedom, no debt, no small children. I want to travel, go on adventures, and have intercourse. Lots of it. He is just not interested. Is there hope? Should I keep trying to talk to him? We have weekly talks to no avail. He's just getting annoyed at this point. What have others done to successfully turn a situation like this around? Let's read some relevant comments by OP. One user asks, did husband take responsibility for his cheating? OP says, he accepted responsibility for the hurt he caused me but refused marriage counseling. He didn't think it was that big of a deal because there was no physical aspect. I chose to forgive and continue on with the marriage for several different reasons: kid, finances, fear. You were right. Focusing on myself after the affair has allowed me to think about what I want and need in a relationship. This is currently not it. But I don't want to just throw in the towel without trying everything I can. Hence, I'm here on Reddit seeking advice. Another asks, sounds like he never came back from the affair. Who was it with? Obi responds, he wouldn't tell me, so I don't know. Another user says, then all of this is very much unresolved, no accountability, and he hasn't even told you who it was. How do you know it was only emotional? And Obi replies, I had no proof it was physical. We had a life and a young child. He apologized. Do I still have my suspicions? Yep. But at the end of the day, I can't make him tell the truth. I can only make my own decisions. And I decided to accept his story. Was it a mistake? Probably. But hindsight and all that. Later that night, Opie updates in the comments. Thanks, everyone, for your input. We had another conversation tonight. Same old same. Can't commit to doing the work because he doesn't know how much work it's going to entail. What about our kid? We're great co-parents. Blah, blah, blah. All sprinkled in between. I do love you. I know it's time for me to stop chasing and just walk away. It's so damn scary though. Now for the update that comes 1.5 months later. Following up on my last post. It's on my profile page if you want background. I had a final talk with my husband. Here is a synopsis of our conversation. I told him that I refuse to live like this any longer. I want a husband, not a roommate/co-parent. His response is that we owe it to our son to provide him with a two-parent household. I told him that we owe it to our son to be happy so that he knows what happiness looks like. I don't want to normalize this environment for him. Husband doesn't understand why he can be content to live like this, but I can't. Accuse me of being insecure because I can't live without a man. Husband says that we should continue to carry on like this for our son, and maybe the relationship will improve with time. I responded by saying that our marriage has never really been good, and I don't want to go back to that. I want to try to work towards something better. He says that he believes that I like being miserable and asks me several times, why can't you just be happy? Husband then admits to me that he never wanted to get married and have kids, but that is what normal people do. So he went along with it. This was an aha moment for me as I always knew something wasn't right about our marriage. I was never settled and always had to fight for my needs. I asked husband to move out of the house so we can start separation. He refused, saying that it would be too hard on him. I obviously can't leave because I am the main caregiver of our son, and I am not willing to uproot him. When we separate, I'd like my son to continue to have this home as his primary residence. After the aha moment came an intense wave of sadness. I am now questioning everything in my life. I started to cry, and he got frustrated and left. We have not said anything to each other since. We briefly will discuss household duties and childcare, but that's it. Husband has been helpful around the house, with son's school activities/schedule, very attentive to our son, polite and not nasty, planning family game nights, and things we can do together as a family. Most of the things I begged him to do for the last 16 years. This is just confusing and infuriating. Why now when I have one foot out the door? I really don't know what to do at this point. He doesn't want me to leave but won't stop me if I do. He won't leave but has stated verbatim that he refuses to work on our marriage. I am totally confused. I am seeking advice. Please note, just leave is not an option for me. I'd have to leave my son. That is not an option. OP also gives a response to a comment in the post which said, "You have to actively make changes. Leave with your son." And OP says, "He won't let me leave with my son, and I can't just do it. That would be kidnapping. I would make my situation so much worse than it is. I could move out on my own, then work on a custody arrangement with husband. But my son will be devastated. He would not want to leave the home he's lived in his entire life. I'm not sure I can do that to him now. I was working with a realtor to find a home, but husband is making it difficult." Update 2 that comes 6 days later. Husband and I no longer have any sort of relationship. We are co-parents and roommates. Husband refuses to work on marriage but doesn't want me to leave as he thinks our child will suffer. You can read my previous posts on the current state of my marriage on my Reddit page. Husband and I both have good-paying jobs that allow us to pay all monthly bills, save for retirement and emergencies, and still have a bit left over for fun. We have a household budget tracker that shows that we pay roughly equally into household expenses, even though he makes more than me. I recently got a second part-time job that will allow me to invest in myself, new professional headshots, going on vacations by myself/with friends, therapy, etc. I do not want this income to be included in our household income. Husband thinks my new income should count towards our household income, and as such, I should be paying more proportionally into household expenses. As far as I'm concerned, since I no longer have to put any effort into our failed marriage, I can instead start to focus on working on myself. This includes spending money from my part-time job on things/experiences that will make me happy. My question is, am I wrong for not using the money I earn from my part-time job toward our household? Edit to add, my second job will be done from home in the evenings. There is no need for my husband to help me with childcare/additional tasks around the house. Now for some responses OP gave in the comments. One user says, if he suddenly got a bonus or raise, would he include that money in the household budget? Probably not. And OP responds, I suspect you're right. I know he has received bonuses from his job, but I've never seen a dime. He has purposefully kept our finances separate and kept me in the dark about what he earns/spends. He, of course, has always had access to all of my financial info. OP also gives some information on the son and responsibilities. There are no childcare costs. Our child is a teenager. I edited my post to state this. My part-time job will not require him to do anything extra. It's all online and can be done in the evenings after our kid is in bed. My husband traveled for work 2 to 3 weeks per month for most of our marriage. He also travels several weeks per year with friends. I never asked for compensation for basically raising our child and maintaining our household by myself. The thought of compensating him for the situation his choices have put us in makes me feel away. Don't mean to take it out on you. And on their relationship now, OP says. He stated he's committed to reviewing our options for the marriage after our child is out of the house. For now, he thinks we should both continue to live together and co-parent. We are low conflict, just not affectionate with each other. I can't speak for him, but I have zero desire or energy to even think about finding someone else. After 16 years of marriage, I'm questioning everything in my life. OP is voted not wrong. Update 3 that comes the next day. I have contacted a divorce lawyer just to see what my options are. He was so helpful. We'd approach it as an uncontested divorce, splitting everything 50-50. I'm going to reach out to a few more for pricing. My heart breaks at the thought of not seeing my child every day. We have a very good relationship and I'm the person he talks to about stuff. But I do not want him to think that this is healthy for me. It's not. I'm constantly questioning my worth and what I did wrong. I've also reached out to a few therapists. As far as my income from my part-time job is concerned, I'm going to use it on me. I told him that if he gets a part-time job, he can use the money however he wants. He is not happy, but I can't concern myself with his happiness anymore. Thank you all for your honest feedback. Now for the final update that comes 14 months after the previous post. Hi everyone. It's been a while since I've posted in this community, over a year, but wanted to give you an update since you all were kind enough to offer advice on my earlier posts. What a difference a year can make. If you've read my previous posts, you'll know that I was in a really crappy situation this time last year. My marriage had ended years ago, and I was in the throes of grieving it. I contemplated suicide, but thank goodness I was able to talk myself out of it. Since then, I've separated from my husband, purchased a house, got a new job, ran a marathon, met a new man, and traveled quite a bit. It's been a wild and busy year. I won't get into all of the details of the adventures I've had, but if you'd like to know more, just message me. Now that I've slowed down, I'm sitting here on the eve of Thanksgiving reflecting on the year. A few of my thoughts. They say marriage is hard, and divorce is hard, and to choose your heart. Divorce is definitely much harder, and it's something I would not celebrate unless the person is in danger. There are times where I wonder if I did the right thing. Not because I miss my ex, but because I was safer married. It's less scary facing the devil you know than the devil you don't know. Ultimately, I know I did the right thing. One cannot live with constant disrespect from their spouse and expect to be well mentally. But I will always wonder if I could have held out a bit longer, at least until our child was in college and out of the house. There really is no perfect person out there waiting for you to find them. There are a lot of imperfect people who are either doing the work or not. I constantly check in with myself to ensure I'm one of the ones doing the work. Unfortunately, there are more folks not doing the work. I get it. It's hard and painful. It's slow going and takes an incredible amount of strength to really look at your own issues, strength to leave relationships that do not work for you, regardless of who is at fault, and strength to be alone. We always want the story to be a victim/villain scenario, but the reality is in most cases it's not. Don't get me wrong, there are times when someone clearly is a victim. But barring abuse, most of the time we are so blinded by our ego that we fail to see the role we play in the demise of our relationships. My ex is not a bad person. He just wasn't the person for me. In my haste to get married and have kids, I ignored this very glaring fact. And in my haste to get over my separation, I ignored that with the new man I got involved with 4 months after my separation was formalized. Which brings me to the present. The new relationship I was in recently ended in a similar way that my marriage ended. They say that the universe will keep sending you the same lesson until you learn it. More true words have not been spoken. At least I can recognize this now. And when you know better, you can do better. FYI, it's not the universe, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. I went right back to what I know. And finally, the one thing I've learned to notice in my life are the constants. My health, my incredible family, the amazing girlfriends that have stood by me, and my own kick-ass attitude. I know I will always take care of me, and that is so comforting. Recently, one of my BFFs confided in me that she's thinking about divorcing her husband. She explained the situation to me and then asked me what she should do. I gave her the most honest answer I've ever given anyone in my life. I don't know. I'm not her, and I cannot possibly understand the situation she's in. But I did promise her that whatever decision she made would be the right one for her, and that I would support her 110%. For anyone that's contemplating a major life change, please know that you really do know what is best for you. Please trust yourself to make the decisions you need to make, knowing that you will be there to take care of yourself. I wish you all the adventures, self-love, and friendship that your heart can handle. Happy holidays and thanks. Now, for the next story that is titled, My Ex-Husband Just Admitted He Still Loves Me, and I Have No Idea What to Do About It, by username BestScience8354. This is so surreal. I'm living a fantasy I've had 1,000,001 times, and I don't even know if I want it anymore. This is a long story that no one will read, and I don't blame you, but typing it out might help me understand how I'm feeling here. We got married young, 19 and 22, with basically a shotgun wedding. Carried for 8 months just for it to end in a stillbirth. And he was there for me, and he cared, and it felt like we fell in love after we got married. And things were good. He wasn't controlling. He believed in me, motivated me to do more and more. Go to school, get a degree, become a nurse, all that. He even paid for a good chunk of it himself, like most of it when he wasn't even making good money yet. The bedroom took some time to really figure out, but once it was mastered, it was mastered. He never tried to get me to have a kid again either. He was perfect. And he grew into being perfect, which just made me love him more. What we had felt so loving and good and like, wow, I really just stumbled my way into this from a casual friend with benefits to an amazing life and husband. And it stayed that good for a long time. Then I hit 30, and things started to change. It was little things, little comments he'd make about how young we were when we met, how we went straight into making the marriage work and school and apprenticeships, how we never really got to be young, even though I think 30 is pretty damn young. And he started to go out with his friends more, but not like before. Before, they would come over and play video games or barbecue or something and chill out, but then he started going out. And he just started having more fun without me, I guess. And then it got worse. He sat me down and brought up the topic of an open marriage, more freedom for exploration and everything he couldn't do before me, basically. And I said no. He said he wasn't sure he wanted to continue with what we had, and it all crumbled from there. He just decided he didn't want to be married anymore. To be clear, he divorced me. He didn't cheat on me, but it was motivated by the fact that he wanted to, his words. It was a bad divorce. But honestly, only emotionally. I felt blindsided and horrible and begged for him to stay, even said I would do the open marriage after all, which he declined. He said it wouldn't be real if I didn't want it. And thank God he did that because it's true. But he was a good person through the whole thing. He just was. He gave me our house that I paid a fraction for because he wanted to make it up to me for him wasting my youth or something. Youth became such a big talking point, man, I don't know. He offered alimony, which I should have taken him up on, but I didn't because I felt bad. And I didn't actually need it. But the point is, he divorced me, blamed me for nothing, and was kind. I couldn't even hate him. He wanted to stay friends. I didn't because I was still in love with him. So we landed on friendly. No blocking, follow each other on social media. No bad words to either side of the family, but we don't talk. Except the twice yearly Happy Thanksgiving/Merry Christmas texts. The divorce was final in January of 2019. And I thought that was that. I didn't date throughout 2019. In 2020, I couldn't for obvious reasons. Same for 2021, just focusing on not freaking dying. But I did meet someone in 2022, and we've been dating for almost 2 years in February. It's nice. Easy. He's divorced too. Neither of us wants to get married again, and it just works. We were even talking about moving in together eventually. And then X calls. From his mom's phone, no less. I had stayed close to her, not super, but like a phone call twice a month and sending actual gifts for the holidays. So I picked up with the usual, "Hi Judy, how are you?" And it was him. We hadn't talked in nearly 5 years, and then bam, there you go. Ex-husband suddenly is desperate to see me. He said that we really needed to talk and asked if he could come by. He could even bring his mom if I was uncomfortable with just him. And I said yes, but to bring his mom. Now, at this point, full on I thought one of them was dying. Mostly thought it was him, and that he wanted to make amends or something. Because nothing else would explain the suddenness. He came over to the house with his mom as promised, but he looked fine. They both did, which made me so much more confused. But I let them in and waited for him to say something. It was the most awkward 45 seconds of my life. Until his mom elbowed him and said, "I'm not doing this for another year. Tell her. I'll be in the other room." Which am I crazy, or again does that make it sound like he's dying? And she left for the kitchen and left us in the hall. And he just started word vomiting. I don't know what else to call it. Like I'll type out what he said coherently, but I want to make it clear it did not come out this clean. Being young and dumb didn't matter when I wasn't with him. He thought he'd be happy to have full freedom to do whatever he wanted, and he was for a while. He traveled, met people, dated, but it always felt wrong. And he knew he regretted the divorce years ago, but didn't want to bother me after he broke everything apart, for effing nothing apparently. He said his friends were in his ear, always talking about marriage and how it slowed them down, and he listened despite the fact that I never tried to stop him from doing what he wanted. And he still loved me. And he wanted me back, and he never really stopped. And he would talk about it, year after year after year, to his family. And his mom told him what I had told her about the idea of moving in with the boyfriend, and it triggered the hell out of him. And that's how he ended up on my doorstep. I felt like I was in a damn movie. Except the music didn't swell, and I didn't have like the magical moment of the love of my life, and I are getting back together. It all worked out. I just felt confused. And angry. And I told him that this was all too much to drop on me out of nowhere and to leave. But I'd call him. So now I'm here. Still confused. Still angry. but now have to figure out how to tell my boyfriend about this. I will not be leaving him in the dark. But what the hell, man? If you loved me so damn much, why did you leave? Why were you so insistent that you had to be with other people? You know I'm seeing someone. You could have tried this for the years I was single. Why now? Why? I feel so suspicious and weird, and I don't know if I believe him. But at the same time, I still have never loved someone the way I loved him. Is it that insane to think that what we did mattered to him? Is that delusional? Or did he just have a midlife crisis and regrets it? I don't effing know. I just don't. Update 1. Well, the height of the dramatics is over. I think it went as well as it could have, but I told my boyfriend everything that happened. He wasn't happy, but he wasn't mad at me or anything. I think it helped that the ex's mom had been there, and we weren't just alone hanging out. But we talked a lot. A lot. Spoiler. We are not breaking up over this. And you know what? I love my boyfriend. And maybe it's not as intense as what I had with my ex-husband, but that took years to get to. It wasn't overnight either. I think it also helped that my boyfriend is divorced too, and when I asked what he would do in my shoes, he had a lot to say. So we both agreed I'm going to see and talk to the ex about it. He said that if it was him, he'd want to tell his ex face-to-face that it was over. So I texted the ex. And to be clear, I wasn't vague about what was going to happen with him. The direct text, which my boyfriend saw, read, "Hey, his name, obviously, we need to talk about everything that happened the other day. But I want to be clear that we won't be getting back together no matter how the conversation goes. Knowing that, do you still want to see me?" And he did. So we set up a time and place, public. And again, boyfriend is aware of all of this and is fine with it. But he did want to come with me. Not like inside where we were meeting, but drove me over and waited in the car. And I know that could sound weird or bad, but I feel like it makes sense. He's being so calm and collected about this whole thing. I think he just wants to stay in the loop. So not a red flag to me. Anyway, I went, and we met up at a park, with boyfriend having direct eye line to the bench we were on. And we talked. It was a lot. Of course, it was a lot. I'd always have love for him, but the window to that life closed years ago. He cried, apologized for crying. And it hurt a lot to see, and I felt so effing bad. I don't want to sound awful or like I don't take my relationship seriously, but for a second there I just wanted to kiss him and tell him everything would be okay. But I didn't because that would be dumb as hell. And it's time to move on. But the talk was hard, and I'm a little worried he's hanging on to some hope because it ended on a weird note. He asked if things would be different if I was single, which, obviously, I feel like he thought that question made some kind of point that I'm not seeing. I told him the truth, that yeah, it would be. That my boyfriend was the top reason why I wasn't going to be exploring this. He asked what could happen if we ever broke up, and I said that wasn't really a healthy road to go down. But I swear that made him perk up a little. I don't know, maybe he took it wrong. Maybe I'm reading into it wrong. But I don't think I have to worry about him pining away from me considering the circumstances of why we aren't together. I gave him a hug before leaving, and that was that. It's still over. Obviously, I told my boyfriend everything, even the weirdness at the end which he didn't love. But he was fine with me keeping him unblocked. But did say he wanted to be told if he ever reached out again. Which is completely fine by me. Like the code to my phone is open, he's welcome at any time. And I think that helped a lot. Like I don't know you all, he was so damn mature about the whole thing. It was really eye-opening to how much I appreciate what we have. He's very different from my ex. More reserved and quiet, but sweet. And he can still communicate. He just chooses his words and actions very carefully. And that's the kind of thing I need. Stability. I deserve that. I'm still a little worried about the ex though, considering everything I learned and how it ended. But I did my part. I'm not going to cut either of them off yet. Because they really are good people. There is only so much I can write in a Reddit story, but I don't hate him for a reason, even though he emotionally screwing me over bad. And especially his mom. She's a freaking angel. And I think after this, she won't bring it up again. And if he starts popping up or something from her end, then I'll do the hard work to cut her off. But that's it. It wasn't the big, fairy tale ending I dreamed of. But the nice, quiet life I made for myself is still intact. Hope it's evident that you're navigating through a complex and emotionally challenging situation. And it's completely normal to feel confused, angry, and conflicted given the circumstances. Remember that it's okay to take the time you need to process everything. The way you're handling communication with your boyfriend and ex-husband, while maintaining transparency, shows maturity and consideration. It's clear that you value the relationships in your life and are trying your best to navigate through difficult conversations. It's important to prioritize your own well-being and focus on the stability you deserve. Taking care of yourself is crucial during these times. Well, that's it, folks. Thank you for tuning into our stories today. If you found it engaging or have thoughts to share, drop a comment below. Your feedback means the world to us. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more content, and hit that notification bell to stay updated. Until next time, take care.